right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Warrior Mindset Podcast. And I have a friend, a trainee, a trainer. I don't know how to define you because you are an actor, you've been a model, a TV host, a martial artist, jiu-jitsu. We've done videos together. So welcome on the show. Francisco, once again, it's an honor to have you on. Just quick question. How would you define yourself when people ask you?
I always kind of feel uneasy with that question, because that implies that I ask myself what people think about me, how people perceive me, how people would categorize me. I'm very curious. I would define myself as someone that's very, very hungry for knowledge. I'm hungry, and I'm very passionate about finding my limits and trying to understand and learn about ways to push those limits. And that, to me, that's the core of who I am. And the rest is just manifestations of that curiosity and of the hunger and that energy. And it makes it complicated sometimes, because I think we like things that are clear. And I think we like to simplify what we see. I think it's linked directly to our survival. We always need to have a simple explanation as fast as possible to what we see in our environment. I think we live in an age where we can be a lot of things at the same time. And I don't feel that need to define it so much. I really listen to myself, to my desires. And I also listen to that deeper voice that says, all right, this is fun, this is cool, but you should also work on your foundations, which is something I do a lot. I work on my foundations constantly. And then I try to be creative and fly.
What are your foundations?
Discipline.
Discipline, okay. And my
foundation is discipline.
Right now, I know you are, you love the martial arts, the jiu-jitsu, the training. Talk a little bit about your fitness routine. Are you training right now? Are you finding time to train? How has this COVID, affected your training?
I approached this period as a period of injury. You've been injured. I've been injured, like injuries that were bad enough to keep me away from sports for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. The first time it happens to you, it's always a bummer, because you feel so depressed for the first few days. And I remember a decade ago, my first injury that kept me away from sports for a couple of months. I really worked on my mental fitness, my mental space, and I really assessed where I was and what I needed to work on that had been neglected while I was just busy, focusing on, what's not the foundations, what's like more spectacular, maybe what's more fashionable, maybe stuff I can show more easily. And through time, I realized that it's a good thing to work on the basics. So whenever I'm injured, I go back to, let's say I break a leg. Some people say, I broke my leg, can't train. I'm like, fuck, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro, that's like the worst excuse. There's 1,000 things you can do that actually are going to make you so much better as an athlete when you come out of that period. So even if you can't train, there's so much, mental fitness stuff that you can do, a lot of meditation. And to me, the most important training of all trainings, I don't care about anything, bro. My foundation in terms of training is breath work. This is the thing. If you can't breathe, if you're not connected to your breath, if you can't control your breathing, if you can't play with it, if you don't understand all the subtleties of breathing, to me, you're doing it wrong.
I got to talk about your surfing, right? Because I follow you and I've never surfed, and I see you in these waves. How does that help, like the breathing exercises and the surfing and
Okay, I'll be very honest with you, bro. I've been surfing for a long time. I'm very bad. Like I'm I mean, probably at a level that you would wish you had, but to be honest, I'm not a good surfer. I don't have that talent, but I'm very persistent, and I'm very organized, and when it comes to learning. So to me, surfing is a lot about being in the ocean, and it's about learning something that I'm not good at, which I think is very important to include in your in your toolbox. I think there needs to be an activity that you practice regularly that you suck at. I think it's very important. So to me, that's surfing. It also is a way to be out there in the ocean, which is the most amazing, environment. Like, the ocean is so powerful. There's so much to learn in the ocean, about the ocean. So to be honest, the breath work, is it linked directly to surfing? Not so much, because I don't surf I'm not a super advanced expert surfer. So the waves that I surf maybe are going to be 5 feet, 6 feet face. So maybe it's like intermediate level. Really, that's what I surf. Really, the dangers are not about drowning or being underwater for a long time. It's more about cutting yourself with someone else's board or your own board. I've been cut many times. So I don't surf in conditions that need to be so much in control in terms of breath. But to be honest, I had that fear of the waves and the ocean way back when I was young. I remember going to the ocean for the first time, and I was with people that didn't know the ocean and ended up so far. I got taken away by rip current, and I had for the last 25 years, I've been living with that fear, of being in the ocean. So eventually I was like, man, I got to address that fear. And this is how I started surfing. And I was so scared when I started surfing that it led me to understand that I needed to do it. That was the thing. That's my thing. To me, that's the thing that scares me the most, is being out there in the ocean and a big set of wave comes. Now I'm feeling very, very comfortable in these conditions. But a couple of years back, bro, I had literally panic attacks in the water.
Wow.
But I fought through it with systematic work. And it worked.
I think that's important, because we all have fears. We all have things that hold us back from doing something we want to do. And you're right, it's about taking small steps and having a system to be able to break through our fear and be able to surpass it and get to a point where you could either reduce or eliminate the fear and actually enjoy doing what you're doing, right? And it's a process, right?
It's a process, and it's easy when you're good at something, because there's whatever you're going to do, there's going to be a period where you suck, and eventually you're going to enter the fun zone. Sometimes you're into stuff that you're good at. The fun zone is very close. It's not far away. The thing is, when you suck at something, the fun zone, it does exist, but it's all the way over there. So you have to have that patience and that system to take you there. And I think we talk about process a lot lately. It's been a big thing, process. But I think the process is very, very interesting and important, because the process itself is the goal. I think
good point.
That's the goal. So yeah, that's the way I see it. And I'm entering that fun zone in surfing where I'm in the water for 3 hours, and I come out and I'm like, wow, that was the best time of my life. And I worked so hard for that I'm very, very even more satisfied when I have these feelings.
You are, from what I know, you are a hardworking person. I think the foundation to anything that we do and succeed in anything, the foundation is always willing to put the hard work, the effort, and the time. I think that's the foundation in anything, whether you're a business person, entrepreneur, or any kind of sport or anything you want to achieve. There's going to be amount of work and time and sacrifice put in it, for sure. In terms of your jiu-jitsu now, what are you doing with that? Obviously you can train. Are you doing anything on your own, or you've just kind of put that on the side right now?
Obviously jiu-jitsu is not happening right now, and I don't think it's going to happen in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's going to take a while before it happens. It will happen. I mean, I have no doubt. it's hurting a lot of people. My fear is that a lot of people are going to close, a lot of gyms. So I'm praying for all my friends that are into the martial arts business academies. I mean, I'm praying for all my friends who are entrepreneurs, because it's really hard right now. You know, I have businesses and we're struggling big time and we're fighting. But anyways, a lot of people I know are studying jiu-jitsu and are doing like drills at home and stuff. My decision was to do none of that. Okay. My decision was to put jiu-jitsu aside completely. Well, the only thing I do is I watch matches. And a lot of my friends and trainers, there's a great podcast called Imbalance. And it's jiu-jitsu guys, Val, my coach from the Mizu studio, we've been there. You know, we shot some videos there. And a lot of like amazing fighters and coaches from Montreal. Oliver Taza, Theo Leclerc, Ethan Krillison, all these guys are getting together and they're talking about jiu-jitsu, and they do a lot of fight analysis. That, just like you do. Yeah. So that I watch, but I don't watch instructionals at all. I don't drill at home. So what I decided to do is I decided that no matter how long this is going to last, when I come out, I'm going to be fitter than ever, more mobile, and I work on my posture, my breath work, and my alignment a lot. So that's what I decided to do. And it's usually stuff that we don't really do. We put it aside. We're like, tonight I have to do my stretching on my mobility work. What do you end up doing? Now you watch Netflix, you do this, you do that. I said, you know what? This quarantine thing, I don't know how long it's going to last. 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 1 year. I was ready for 1 year.
Yeah.
And I decided that I was going to put in the work that I usually don't do. And to be honest, my fitness level right now is better than it's ever been.
It's interesting because I've had the same experience, because I'm working less, I have more time. I'm actually, this whole COVID, for a lot of people, it's hard, and it sucks that I can't see my son in certain circumstances. But at a personal level, I've never had so much time to myself, time to train, time to think, time to write. I'm drawing every night, things that I never normally had the time to do. So, and my fitness level, I've taken it to the next level because I'm not stressed training between clients. And I said, well, if I'm going to train alone, at least I'm going to get my body in top shape, or as best as I could. Now, for people who are listening, what does your training routine consist of?
There's a few things that I'm doing. Me in the morning, I do 45 minutes to 1 hour of breath work. Okay. It's strenuous. I've been doing it for years.
Wow.
And I built my abilities and my training routine. So I don't recommend that someone would go and do 1 hour of breath work alone with no training in the morning. And you need to train. You need to, like, I'm working on my teacher. I'm doing teachers trainings here and there for breath work, and eventually I'm going to get into that more. I think breath work is a little bit like running. People think it's just like, yeah, whatever. Those are probably the two most complex things. Breathing and running are very, very complex. But somehow it seems, and I can't understand why, to a lot of people, it seems like the most simple things to do. Yeah. And we always do it wrong. So that's what I did. You know, I used to coach running. I used to run track forever. So I developed a lot of injuries in running throughout the years. And I came to this point where I couldn't run anymore because I had chronic pain in my Achilles tendons. So I gave it a rest. I went into rehab for a couple of years. And when the quarantine started, I decided to go back to running, but to do it very systematically. Okay. So I decided that I was going to, implement what I had been teaching in the previous years. And I built it up in the last couple of months to a level that I'm very satisfied with. I do a lot of hill work. I don't do speed work anymore because that's how, it's more dangerous, if I may. So a lot of running, a lot of breath work. And I started doing something that I really discovered in the last few years that I didn't use before. And you know it very well because you do it a lot. HIIT training.
Oh yeah, those are, yeah.
Bro, so what I do now, I train maybe 3 times a day. I train in the morning. I do my breath work 1 hour. Around 10:30, 11, I do my first training. And around 5, I do my second training. And during the day, I'm here, like I'm in the Eastern Township, so I go for canoe rides with my girlfriend. And like we do a lot of activity and we work in between. Like we have full days, bro. So I do, like I said, including my breath work, I do 3 trainings a day, and that includes HIIT work. Wow. And what I decided to do also is work on my mobility, flexibility, mostly mobility, and that's increased a lot too. And I've been doing handstands.
Oh, the handstand, yeah, you could do them?
Yeah, I'm getting pretty good. But what I did is I bought a very, very, like I shopped for like workshops. No, I didn't buy the bars. I shopped for instructionals.
Okay.
So I tried a lot of things, and I found one that I really liked, and it was a 4-week intense training, very progressive. Like, is it how you say it? Like,
yeah, progression.
Yeah. So it built, because I was doing it but all wrong, before, and now I build it like because you can injure yourself so bad doing it.
For sure. And
the guys that give the workshop and the instructional are very into biomechanics and stuff. So I built the ability to do handstands, and so I've been working on these things that I know are going to help me when the gyms reopen, and I'm going to be like ready to go. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, bro.
What do you think? Like, I mean, how do you think the martial arts industry is going to be like coming back? Do you think it's going to go? I'm kind of worried people are always going to have this social distancing fear moving forward. Or like, I mean, especially when you're looking at like rolling and with someone and being right close. Is this like this? They got social engineering. Are people going to get to the point where they're going to? You think we're always going to be a little bit more distance with each other?
I think it's going to affect some people for obvious reasons. I think, for example, I live with my girlfriend. She has cancer. I have to be careful. So we have a game plan in the next couple of weeks. And we're going to, I'm going to reintroduce society gradually. And we're going to split for about a month. She's going to go live with her mom. And I'm going to see how it goes, And we're getting a lot more viable information, day by day now. And the picture is a lot clearer, And to me, that was the thing. When the whole thing happened, I was like, let's see what happens. Like we're gonna know the truth eventually, and we're gonna have the information. Let's not get all panicky and conspiracy theories and all that kind of crap. I can't deal with this shit. So I've been isolating and I've been just watching, observing, just like martial art teaches you that.
Yeah.
You step back a little bit, observe, test it, and eventually you know when to strike, how to strike, and what strike to use. It's the same thing.
Same thing.
So I know it's a subject. I don't want to get you started with the conspiracy theories.
I won't get into it because I'll go crazy because I'm, you know what I mean? I'm surrounded by professionals, and then I have like I said, the car mechanic, the hairdresser, the waiter, who's ready to argue with a doctor in infectious disease with YouTube, and I'm like, how can you even think that? And this is where I tell people it's okay for you not to know. Like you don't have to panic because it's okay if you say, is it the fear of uncertainty? Do you want to be smarter than you think? Are you seeking for attention? I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with these people that they need to validate their intelligence but go out of a subject that really they don't know nothing about.
Hey, bro, that would be a great subject to talk about with Guillaume Duvin. You should talk about that with him. What are the mechanisms, the mental mechanisms? How does the brain work in a way that, pushes people to position themselves constantly in terms of like really deep, like scientific knowledge?
And it's crazy because people are sending me like posts and I'm like, what tells me you could assess this? Like, what's your expertise? Well, then they're like, well, I have the right to my opinion. I get you do, but you're imposing your opinion and you're calling me a sheep if I don't agree with you. So it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. But bro, if we open that door, we're going to go down the rabbit hole and we're going to come out of it in 3 hours.
You're absolutely right. And you know what I learned? Nothing productive, nothing came out positive from those 3-4 days of me on Facebook. Nothing good came out of it. All it came out is me being frustrated, me spending more time online, me missing my workouts, me frustrated to my workouts. And I realized when social distancing ends, there's a few people I still want to keep the social distancing with. Because I think
that's the way I see it. I don't get involved, but I observe a lot. Like, look, I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay away from this person.
Yeah.
I cannot trust that person. That's what I do. I don't get involved at all, bro. I never comment. Sometimes when it's something really like a huge, like they say that NASA publishes something and it's big, maybe I'm going to share it, but I don't get involved with that stuff. But I do observe who's who and who says what and who does what. That I do a lot. But I saw your video in the car. You were so pissed off, bro.
I know, and I shouldn't. I guess I shouldn't have got so emotionally charged by it, but I did, and I think because I know doctors who are working at the hospital. I know people who are, and then I have these people talking, and I said it. What worse than being uninformed is being misinformed. So when the misinformed start educating the uninformed, this is when stupid shit starts happening around the world, and it's dangerous.
But you know what? Something I realized, Nick, and we'll go back to martial art gyms because that was the subject. There's one thing I realized about science. To most people, science is about knowing. And when you talk to scientists, what they're going to tell you is science is about what we don't know. So it's about being very, very, very sure about what we don't know. And it's about testing your own beliefs and trying to prove yourself wrong. And it's a completely different approach than, I think, and I don't blame anybody. I think we should integrate science a lot more and the scientific approach in our society. And we should discuss that a lot more. Because I think that's what science is. Science is not about proving yourself right. It's about testing and confronting your own beliefs and your own hypothesis.
Good point.
And that's what scientists do all the time, the good ones. So then you have people that are like, oh, I'm sure of this, I'm sure of that, I think this, I think that. And I'm like, all right, bro, but you're missing the point. And you're missing a great opportunity to learn and to go forward in life.
That's right. And like, again, we'll go back to the martial arts. Some people have that mindset as well, right? Whatever they're doing or they're teaching is set in stone. And I'm like, all the martial arts have something to bring in. You know what I mean? I started doing Kung Fu when I was 8-9 years old. Whether you're palm striking or doing a tiger claw, as we used to call it, it's the same thing. It's just maybe taken and modified to a more modern way of striking. But at the end, the fundamentals, the base is more or less the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to go back to martial art gyms, or what's going to happen, I think it's going to be hard, and I think it's going to take a couple of months. But what we're learning now is that we took precautions to make sure that this virus was not going to, destroy half of the planet. And now we have the information, and I think we did the right thing, and we're going to slowly go back to normal. And in a couple of weeks, couple of months, we're going to be back to fighting and to grappling and to rolling over. And
will you be nervous to go back to the gym and just roll with somebody, or you're going to be good with it?
When I decide that it's time, I'm going to be 100% comfortable. But in my case, it's really about my girlfriend's safety. That's what it's about. Have a great immune system. Doing all that breath work that I'm doing in the morning, my system is so performant that I mean, I'm not saying I could never get sick or I could never die of a disease, but I think I'm putting I'm doing the work that I need to do. So my body, physically, mentally, my systems are very healthy and they're really ready to fight most diseases,
I agree.
And we also have great conditions, like life conditions that are not, we have fresh water, we have fresh food. I mean, we're very spoiled, we're privileged. And this also has, it has a great impact on your ability to fight disease. If you eat well, if you don't drink too much, if you don't smoke, because smoking is the worst, bro.
Worse.
And if you sleep well, you breathe, you meditate, you move around, man, you improve, you increase your chances of not getting sick, or if you get sick, you're going to be able to fight it. That I know.
I think that's a very important point that a lot of people do, like, they neglect the fact that you have the power to control your environment and your as much as you want to wait for a vaccine, as much as there's so much that you could take in your own life and be responsible to eat well, exercise, take your vitamins, meditate, sleep well. Like you said, don't, drink moderately, don't smoke, don't do drugs. All that shit is going to lower your immune system. And, take those actions. Are they guaranteed? No, nothing's guaranteed, but it's all about playing the odds for you. You know what I mean? That's all it is, getting more to your side as much as you can. And I think that's the most important thing.
And to me, it's about autonomy. I mean, like you said, I think life is super risky and life is super hard, and there's no guarantees that whatever you do, it's going to end. The whole adventure for you, it will end. Yeah. And in 2-3 generations, no one's ever going to talk about you unless you do something very amazing. So I think it's worth fighting the fight. You're here for a short amount of time, and I'd rather be responsible and controlling all the variables that I can control and having that discipline and putting the time and energy, because it makes me very, very satisfied. I'd rather fight that fight than wait for other people to. I don't want to put my destiny and my power and my life completely in other people's hands, because let's face it, bro, I don't control everything. And that's the thing, is that I'm here and I'm healthy because of all the work that people did before me, and because of all the work that a lot of people are doing for me, all that clean water that we drink, all those roads that we drive on, all those cars, those things, I don't build them myself. So this is something I try to be also very, I try to have a clear mind about them. Like, I control a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that I can, take advantage of and enjoy. It's because of other people's work. So I don't think we live in a world where there's conspiracy to make our lives easier and better. That's the conspiracy.
See, I agree with you. And I tell people, like, empower yourself through doing whatever you can control. And there's stuff that you'll never be able to control. And I always tell people, you know what, if you're born in Canada, you won a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
You traveled around the world, right? I've traveled as well. And I'm like, you're born here? Guess what? This is your lottery ticket. This is your bonus, because you could have been born in 50% of the world that's like living under like poverty. So even, so already there you should wake up in the morning and be like, thank God there's no bombs. I could turn on the water. I could drink water. I have food. I tell people, stop panicking. We have food. You know what I mean? We're not, you're a little bit inconvenienced in your life, but other than that, wake up and still be grateful, because it could be a lot worse. And I'm sure in certain countries, it is a lot worse, but we forget that because we take for granted what we wake up to every day and we have it.
You know what? I realized something over the last few years. The people that really had it hard or are living, I don't want to start naming names, but my friend was a child that's sick, one child that's handicapped, and they're going through the whole thing, and then he goes bankrupt, and they're doing all they can, and they're fighting. Those people, it seems that they don't really complain. They're gonna have downs. They're gonna go through terrible times. But first, they don't have time to go on Facebook and complain, because they're busy, trying to keep everything together. And most of the time, they develop like that philosophy, that vision of life, where they don't seem to be complaining a lot. I mean, from what I observe, that's fascinating, bro.
It's also, like, depending of your upbringing, where you came from, the type of life you've had, the resilience, the challenges, all those make you grow. And you get to a point, for me personally, where I wake up every day and I'm like, I'm amazed and grateful for the life I'm having, because I always remember where I came from. I drive back where I grew up and I look at where I grew up and I said to myself, shit, man, I'm living like the most amazing, awesome life. So I've conditioned and I've trained myself not to complain about shit, one, that I can't control. And I'm always like, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? So I've learned to not worry about things that I know, to me, that I don't value as important anymore. Where other people, it's like, it's weird because the people I know who have money are taking this so hard. Even though they have a lot and they have a little bit less, it's harder than somebody who doesn't have as much, but has a little bit less, because it's all perception.
Yeah.
I don't know what you think about that. That's a little bit what I'm seeing from like, I know a couple of people who have a lot of money and they're freaking out because, you know, and I think there's a part of it too, that people live beyond their means. Many of us live way what we can't afford. So when there is a dent, somebody who lives maybe not as high, but lives in their means will be okay. And the person who lives over their means, it's like somebody just, boom, came and just punched a dent right through their whole bubble in their life.
I have a very, very simple system. And
I want to hear it.
So for years now, I've been asking myself always, I've been resisting the urge of, you know, buying stuff. I'm not saying I'm not buying stuff, you know. I try to buy what I really either want or need, or something I'm really gonna use. If it doesn't fall in one of those categories, it doesn't enter my house, even if it's a small item. That's the first thing. And most of the time when my, you know, my reflex is to go and, let's say, be entertained or going to buy something or ordering something, I always try to replace that urge with something that's going to be useful or constructive in my life. So maybe I'm going to do 1 hour of breath work, or I'm going to go for an extra training or an extra run that day. And whenever I have those urges, I ask myself the question, does it fall in one of the categories? If the answer is no, I replace it with something else. And through time, it really, it helped me build that treasure.
Mm.
You know, it's like a very, very valuable treasure that's mine, and nobody can take it away from me as long as I live. So, and that's why I feel I'm flexible when times like this come, because I'm like, I don't need any of that stuff, because I have my treasure, and I can build my treasure as much as I want. And it's not expensive. It's just, it needs time, and it needs discipline, and it needs you to push yourself and learn more stuff. But once you get into the habit, you're rich, bro. I'm a millionaire.
That's what it is. Once you get into that habit, once you train, I tell people one of the most important thing is to train your mind. Train your mind through repetition. Train who you want to become, what you want to be, what you want, like train it and then integrate it in your daily life through repetition. And then whatever negative was always there, it goes away. It goes away. And you replace negative with positive, negative with positive. I've eliminated words from my vocabulary because every time I said that word, I got an emotional reaction. So I'm like, this word, I can't use it anymore. And then I stopped using it. Then I start reacting to it. And before I knew, it doesn't exist anymore. So I think, Francisco, where can people find you? I love talking to you, man. We could sit here for hours. But I want to, before I close this, Francisco, I would love to do something on breathing. I've never done any like I've meditated, but I don't know if there's a system to it. So I would love to have you come back and talk about just breathing. Maybe even do it online like this with me and show me online if we could do it. And the people who are going to watch the video as well could get a chance to experience what you're talking, because you talk about it with so much passion and so much knowledge. And I don't know much about it. I've done a little bit with Davis, but not enough to actually get into the deeper understanding of it.
With pleasure. There's a lot of different systems. Don't forget, I mean, in all the yoga culture for thousands of years, you know, there's a lot of writings that date hundreds and thousands of years back about breathing. It's not something new. It's becoming a big trend with Wim Hof, with all these techniques, and I'm not against it. I practice some of that stuff a little bit. There's a lot of different approaches. You have to find what works for you. You have to try, you have to train, you have to be curious. So it's going to be a pleasure coming back and talking about that, bro.
Awesome, guys. So we're going to have Francisco come back and talk about that. Now, Francisco, where can people find you?
Facebook or Instagram.
Great.
Yeah, put the link.
Links on the bottom as well, guys. Go check out Francisco. And once again, thank you for coming. Namaste.
Namaste, bro.
All right, guys. We're out.